I'd like to thank Susan for inviting me to participate in this and the Design Trust. I'd also like to recognize Kiss and Cathcart, who have been partners with Bright Farms and our team since long before I joined them, and they continue to be an important partner. I'd also like to thank Colin in particular for setting the stage for my presentation. And Colin, you may recognize a slide that is on your website, and I thank you in advance for letting me use that. I would like to start by tracing the evolution of our sort of thinking on urban agriculture and how that's reflected in our business model and how it's evolved. We've gone through a couple of different manifestations, and I'll end with our current business model and how we hope to scale urban agriculture nationwide. I'll then touch on the intersection of design and urban agriculture from a Bright Farms perspective, and then conclude with some of the challenges that we encounter as a company trying to scale up urban agriculture in a for-profit model. So we started as New York Sunworks. You saw a picture of Ted Kaplan earlier. He's our current chairman of the board, but he started New York Sunworks, and his challenge was one of function first. Can we demonstrate the viability of urban agriculture in a way that is productive, because we need to feed people, in a way that is environmentally sustainable, and in a way that does not adversely impact property prices or undermine higher and better use of property, because we don't want to feed wealthy people at the expense of poor people. So he built the science barge. This is more, it's floating in the Hudson and on Yonkers. You can visit it on the weekends. And as you can see, it's a greenhouse coupled with renewable energy, and it uses rainwater capture to feed the hydroponic plants inside. This is one of the demonstration projects that he and his team worked on, followed by the rooftop installation at the Manhattan School for Children on the Upper West Side. These were demonstration projects and serve a very strong educational goal. They teach children, and this one is half of it's used for a classroom. The other half is used for growing crops. But as this picture shows, there's something spectacular about green plants bathed in warm light against the wintry urban landscape. And it elevates something that is really a utilitarian function, something plants need light, glass transmits light most effectively, and behold the greenhouse. But it elevates it now to really an aesthetic architectural embellishment, something that's beautiful to look at, and something that can be part of the design. And this leads us into the next iteration of our company, from New York Sunworks to Bright Farm Systems, a nonprofit organization showing the viability of urban agriculture, to, hey, let's design this as part of buildings that going forward. Let's include this as a rooftop model. And under that formation, Ted Kaplan and his team worked with Blue Sea Development for forest houses, and this is something that's profiled in the book. And it's actually built now. You can see what it looks like. And it's being commissioned. We are not operating. This is going to be operated by another greenhouse development company. And you can see that it's something that you can do. You can build. You can build on the rooftop. You can design it into the structure in a way that is aesthetically pleasing, but also productive. This is 10,000 square feet of growing space. But these are still niche installations, both from an architectural point of view. There's not a lot of buildings with commercial scale rooftop greenhouses. And from a produce point of view, the majority of our produce is grown elsewhere. And as Colin in the presentation pointed out, the majority of our lettuces come from California and Arizona in the winter. And a lot of our tomatoes, for example, are grown in greenhouses in Canada and Mexico, except for the summer season. So from a produce point of view, there's not a significant production of vegetables from urban agriculture. So this presents a key question. Can rooftop or urban agriculture revolutionize the fruit and vegetable production system? Or more precisely, can it be a more efficient, cost-effective, and environmentally sustainable alternative to field agriculture that results in product shipped thousands of miles in many days to get to the market? So can we produce urban agriculture at scale? And this leads us into our current business model at Bright Farms, which we rolled out at the beginning of 2011, where we want to produce produce at scale. And this is a rendering of a project that we were doing in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, in partnership with A&P. And I'll talk a little bit more about our business model and how it really depends on the partnership with a retailer. This is going to be our first kind of at-scale rooftop greenhouse that will be going up next year. Ultimately, though, our long-term vision to scale up is to build rooftop greenhouses as part of the design for new supermarkets, and to partner with retailers so that when they build new supermarkets and when they develop new stores, they include this right in the design from day one, and you can start producing right above your head and sell it downstairs within minutes or hours of being picked. Producing the freshest produce available, something that is minutes old versus 6 days old, something that is where you can grow a product and pick it when it's ready to be eaten at the full ripeness and full flavor. So the challenge is making it happen. Why aren't there rooftop greenhouses everywhere? It seems to make intuitive sense that you would grow it right where you're going to eat it. And indeed, that's the way it used to be. Not on the rooftop, but right where you grew it and you ate it. So our current CEO, Paul Lightfoot, asked a lot of supermarket executives, why aren't you building this on your rooftops? And he asked a lot of farmers, why aren't you building greenhouses everywhere? Well, the retailers said, we're not farmers, and we don't actually have the balance sheet to finance these things, and we don't want to be in the business of it. The growers, on the other hand, said, I don't like business planning, I don't like raising capital, and I don't like marketing. I like farming. And so our current business model attempts to address those two problems, and that is, we will own, operate, and produce from this greenhouse. And what allows us to do that is we will enter into a long-term produce purchase agreement with the retailer. So they commit to buying the output from the greenhouse for 10 years at fixed prices. And with that in hand, we can go to investors and say, we have a 10-year horizon of revenues that we can use to service debt and to ensure you get your profit on your investment. So that allows us to finance, build, own, and operate the greenhouses. We are working on 4 projects right now, 2 at grade, one in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, one in St. Paul, Minnesota, and then we will build one in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and then the Sunset Park one, which I showed the rendering for, is going to be next year as well. Each of those greenhouses are in partnership with the retailer, and that's how we're going to move forward and finance and scale with this project, with this business model. So what is the intersection of design and urban ag for Bright Farms? Well, they are inextricable. The design governs what we can grow and how we can operate and the cost, and vice versa. What we grow will dictate the design of the facility, and at the end of the day, we need space to grow. The image of a greenhouse on a rooftop, I think, excites a lot of people. It excites supermarkets, it excites customers, and it excites politicians who want green jobs and investment in the community. I think it also complements very well the growing desire on the part of consumers to know where their food is produced. People hunger for greater transparency, and nothing could be more transparent than growing the product right above your head. I'd like to conclude by talking about some of the challenges that we face in moving forward. These are expensive to build. A rooftop or a ground-based facility costs a couple of $1 million at the very least. And I don't know if you know this, but supermarkets around the country are undergoing tremendous economic challenges, and investors do not want to see them as very strong counterparties, unfortunately for us. So we are getting investment from investors who have a different appetite for risk or see the social and broader environmental mission of what we're doing and are willing to invest at this stage of our life cycle. Also, urban spaces tend to be small or lumpy or cluttered. It's hard finding a space that's big enough. Bloomberg may be focused on 300 square feet of living space, but we cannot grow enough to sustain our business in 30,000 square feet, let alone 300 square feet. So we need a lot of space to be able to grow, and a lot of light. We cannot have things that are in the way of our sunlight. Another challenge is supermarkets love this idea. The executives and marketing people love it, but the real estate folks hate it. They see problems everywhere. They see leaky roofs. They don't want to deal with it. And in fact, we were negotiating a project in the Midwest that took 6 months to negotiate. We were close to signing, and then the real estate team killed it. They didn't want to deal with it. We've kind of overcome that problem by working with third-party owned sites for now. So the Brooklyn Sunset Park one is a very strong project for us, but it's not owned by a supermarket. It's owned by a developer who's redeveloping it. That makes it easier for us to work with the retailer, and we don't have to work with real estate teams. And then challenges with respect to design, we haven't encountered very many problems at all. People like the design of the greenhouse, the way it complements the building. We had with one exception, we were talking with a big box retailer who ironically was worried about the way it looked on the rooftop. And then come to learn that they actually thought we were building hoop houses and not glass greenhouses. So the design has actually been well accepted, and people appreciate it and like it. This is a rendering that's done that's not realistic. In getting to a public space versus private space, we actually will build on public space, but we have to privatize it. And that's because of food safety concerns. All of our supermarkets want to ensure that we are accredited by third parties and that we're not introducing any disease or bacteria into the supply chain. The worst thing for us would be to grow lettuce and have a recall because of E. coli or some sort of other contamination. At the end of the day, though, this is what's going to make it work. Is can we sell it to the consumer? Will they buy it? Will they like the product? Will it attract them on the shelf? Will they pick it up and pay for it? And this is a product we're selling in Bastiat in Harlem from a small facility in Long Island, and we will probably be changing the logo. But so far we've had pretty good success with it, and people seem to like it, but we need to do it at scale. So we are testing a business model, and we are going to try and make it work. All signs are pointing to the fact that there's a growing demand for more locally produced produce. Fossil fuel prices, the trucking industry and the way it's changing, and water shortages all threaten to make agriculture in California very expensive. And retailers are looking for alternative suppliers, and more and more they want closer suppliers. We think urban agriculture presents a compelling alternative to far-off suppliers like California, and we look forward to demonstrating that.